Hello and welcome to Obscure Movie Reviews, where we love to take a look at some of the more unknown and ambiguous titles in cinema history. Here we focus on movies that are hard to find, on the older side, relatively unknown, or perhaps they simply lack in popularity. So hitch up your sleigh and set your phasers to stun as we go on an adventure with Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. When Gilmore discovers that the children of Mars are becoming obsessed with Earth television and the figure of Santa Claus, Gilmore decides that the only solution is to bring Santa Claus to Mars to rouse their children from their stupor.
But there are millions of people down there. It's like looking for a speck of space dust in a comic's tail.
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians was released in 1964 to mostly negative reception, but has received a cult following in more recent years, even receiving the roasting treatment from Mystery Science Theater. The film is often regarded as being so bad it's good. So does it earn that title? Let's take a closer look. The main character, Gilmore, is played by Leonard Hicks. If you've never heard of him, it isn't surprising, because he only has 2 other credits to his name, one of which was uncredited. The shame of this is the fact that he's probably the best actor in the entire production. Not that I'm sure that's saying much. However, there is some notable talent in the cast. Vincent Beck plays Voldar in his breakout role. While he would never see the fame of many other actors of his era, he still worked consistently on stage and television all the way into the early 80s, even becoming the president of the New York section of the Screen Actors Guild. Bill McCutcheon, who plays Drapo, the simple-minded but good-natured Martian, was already working in television when he took this role, and continued up into the 90s, becoming a regular face on Sesame Street, and even won a Tony Award for Best Actor in the Broadway revival of Anything Goes. Finally, there's John Call, who plays Kris Kringle himself. While this film was toward the end of his television career, Call had a long-standing and successful career on Broadway for 19 years. So there is some actual talent floating around this film, including several I haven't even mentioned. However, none of their talents are truly showcased here. But given the film's premise, I'm just not sure how that would have happened anyway. However, the performances, while corny and over the top, are not awful. The fact that some of these actors are really just going for it makes it far more entertaining. Still, it'll get a 4 out of 10 for being below average. The film runs for 1 hour and 21 minutes. Oftentimes, cheap films like this will feel like they drag on forever. Strangely, this one doesn't really do that. It's actually pretty well paced. The film starts off by setting the stage. We're taken directly to Mars and introduced to the main character and the main problem. The antagonist is introduced in short order, and the plot just keeps moving along. Once Santa actually gets to Mars, the film slows down a little, but not in any dramatic way. The ending is cheesy and comes a little out of left field, giving it a bit of an abrupt ending, but overall, it isn't too hard to sit through. It'll get a 7 out of 10 for having good pacing. The film is shot by cinematographer David L. Quaid and directed by Nicholas Webster. Neither of these men would have what would be known as a prestigious career. However, both were consistently working into the 80s, with most of their credits going to television and neither one of them dipping too deeply into film much after this. This doesn't shock you much once you've watched the film, because the cinematography leaves a lot to be desired. Part of the issues can be attributed to the film falling into the public domain, so you might get a copy of dubious quality, but the issues started long before then. Calling the costumes, sets, and makeup cheap would be an insulting understatement. The entire film was filmed in a converted aircraft hangar in just 4 days, and it shows. It's difficult to believe that this movie even had a budget, let alone a budget of $200,000. For comparison, just 4 years later, a cult hit called Night of the Living Dead, maybe you've heard of it, was released on a budget of $114,000 and still holds up today for modern audiences. However, it all adds to the charm of Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Still, this'll score a 3 out of 10 because the cinematography is not good. As stated earlier, the film has fallen into the public domain, so there are a lot of low-quality versions available. However, a higher quality version doesn't help much. The music by Milton DeLugg, who has a rather prestigious career and composed some wonderful soundtracks, brings a cheesy over-the-top energy to the music of this movie. While that fits the tone of the film pretty well, it doesn't make the music good. The overall recording quality isn't exceptional either, with even good quality versions sounding like everyone is talking in a box. The main theme song, Hooray for Santa Claus, is nightmarishly loud and wild, and gets stuck in your head in the worst way possible.
S-A-N-T-A-C-L-A-U-S-A-R-A for Santa Claus. You spell it S-A-N-T-A-C-L-A-U-S-A-R-A for Santa Claus.
That'll give Santa Claus Conquers the Martians a 2 out of 10 because it's really bad. So, the story itself is kind of fun and child-friendly. The people of Mars have basically forgotten how to have fun, and their children are suffering for it by essentially being denied a childhood. Kimar, the leader of the Martian people, seeks out the advice of an old, wise, prophet-like figure who explains the issue. Kimar takes this situation very seriously and decides that they need to employ the help of an outsider who can fix their issues. That outsider is none other than Santa Claus. So they kidnap Santa and some Earth children who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You won't get away with this, you Martians!
And make them bring Christmas to Mars. Voldar, a surly, ill-tempered Martian, makes multiple attempts to prevent this from happening. Why? Well, we're not really sure. He just seems to not want any change and is kind of a jerk.
He's such a funny little man. Why, I've only been with him for 5 minutes and he has me laughing just like an earthling. What's soft and round, and you put it on a stick and you toast it in a fire, and it's green?
I don't know, what?
A marshmallow!
That's what you're all becoming. Marshmallows. Soft. Weak. That old man is a menace.
Writing credits go to Glenville Meredith and Paul L. Jacobson, and these are their only writing credits that I could find. They were all in on this movie. While definitely a story aimed at children, there are some bizarre moments that are just sort of left unresolved. Despite it clearly being intended for a young audience, even that young audience will struggle with the weirdness of it all. It'll get a 4 out of 10 for having a below average story. Okay, despite everything I just said, this movie is highly rewatchable. I must admit that I watch it every year as one of my regular Christmas season films. I just can't help it. This is another one of those movies that I was first made aware of due to Zachary and the Horrible Horror Showcase. I had to check this one out, and it was as bad and glorious as I thought it would be. If you're not into films that are so bad they're good, then this will definitely not be for you. If you are, then this is one of the best to make an annual tradition with. While many will rate it a 0, saying they shouldn't have even watched it the first time, and many would rate it a 10, citing it as having excellent rewatchability, well, we'll bridge the gap and say it's a 5 out of 10, because it will definitely appeal to a specific crowd. This is where the review is going to get skewed because I just love this movie. It's one of those films that makes me believe that if this film can get made, any film could get made. So follow your dreams, kids. Someday you may make the next Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. In my opinion, it gets a 9 out of 10 because it's a must-see at least once. You owe it to yourself. Overall, the movie is rated a 4.86 out of 10 for being a below average to average film. The cult classic nature of it certainly helps this rating because, as a movie, let's be honest, it isn't good. It has very little redeeming quality, but it's just so darn fun. Thank you everyone for watching this episode of Obscure Movie Reviews. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to get the latest videos, and be sure to check out our other fun content. Have a very Merry Christmas, everyone.